Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hisham, and I'm going to do task G in operating system assignment. Basically, we need firstly to use the cd command to change directory to Superman, and then we need to use touch command to create a file called first for movies. I already created the file, so it already exists. Then we will use the command vi to open an editor and edit the file. So that editor, we click I to insert any text we want. After inserting text, we click escape and then WQ, which means write and quit, and we save it. And then after that, we need to create a new group called superhero. So in order to create a group, we use command called group add superheroes. The group already exists, so no need for me to create it. And now to check if the group has been created successfully, we can use tail etc group. We could set -5 to display only the last 5 lines of this file, and here we could see the group. So after that, we need to create a new user called Hulk, so we will use user add with a unique ID, which is 2000, and we will add this user to the group superheroes called Hulk. That user already exists because I have already created Hulk. Then we could use ID Hulk, the name, to check the ID. We could check the UID, and then we could check the group and the group ID. Then we will need to change the password of Hulk. So to do that, we need to change to Hulk using a sudo switch command, switch user to Hulk. As we are now in Hulk, we use command password to change Hulk, and we will type a new password. And then the password should change. I already changed it previously, so that's why it says same as the old one. Now we will need to, under Hulk home directory, we will need to create a new file under Hulk. So in order to check where we are, we could use the pwd command to check which directory we are currently in. We are in Hulk directory, as I already created scar using touch command. After creating scar, we need to change ownership of that file to root. So in order to do that, we could choose we could use the command chgrp to change ownership, and then we could state root of that file. Then AA, and then we should see the ownership is changed with root. Now, if you don't have a sudo permission, you could use also sudo chrp, but I already got. So the next is to create a new group called containants. So in order to do that, we should use sudo group add containants. Now the group actually already exists, as we could check in this command tail -5 etc group. Check I already created the group, and then we need to create a new user. So to create a new user, also sudo user add, then and we add it to the group called containments, and then the name of the user that we want. And help user does not have sudo permission, so that's why he cannot create a new user. So we can give him a sudo permission by adding him to the group wheel using command user mod -g wheel hulk. We need to actually sign in as root. -g wheel in here. And content ENTS. The group or the user already exists as it shows here. I already created these users, which are in America, America, Asia, Europe, Australia, Africa, and Antarctica. Then we need to, and then we already add them to the group containers. We need to change the password of every user and then switch to that user. So in order to change password for every user, we could use password, then America, and then it will ask for the new password. So that we type the new password. And it shows successfully. Then we need to switch to that user using the switch command. We switch to that user and then we create a file touch USA, for example, and then here is the file. After doing so, we do the same steps with other users, Asia, Europe, and Australia, and Africa, and so on. We also need to add the user in America to the wheel group to allow it to run root commands. So in order to do that, as I said, we use the sudo user mod command -g. -g capital shows as to add this user to a supplementary group called wheel. Wheel is a sudoers group, and then we state the user in America. Then to check that, we use in America the group the user has is now in a supplementary group called wheel. So now the group has the user has sudo permission. To do that, for example, we could use sudo password Asia, and now we could change the password of Asia using the in America user. Run last command to find out the number of users logged in. Do not count tab. So running last command, it shows every user who logged in the system. So we could display the last 5 users who logged in, or we could display the last 2 users. It shows EC2 and reboot system boot, and we could use the ID command to verify the user ID of Africa You could see the user ID is 2006 and the group ID, and then the group that Africa is primary group of Africa, which is continents, then same as Asia, Asia. Or Australia. Here it is. Then we need to change date of the system to August 2020. So to do that, we could use date minus S. Then we specify the year 1998, and then the month, which is August 8, and then the day 22, and then we type enter. The operation is not permitted because it needs sudo. So we give it a sudo, and the date is now changed to 2020. Now check, verify. We could type date, and then it says August 2020, 1998. So now in order to set the date and change the date, we could use the command date set, and then we could specify the year 1998, and then we could specify the month 08, and then the day, and then we could set the time at 1 p.m. so 0100. For that, it also needs a sudo permission. So in here it shows that the date has been set to August 2021 and 1998. Then we need to check system uptime list 1999 calendar. Now to do that, we could use uptime command, and it will show the uptime, the time that the system was online, basically for 37 minutes. And then we could use cal 1999, display the calendar of 1999. And then list everything with uname command and find out where the system architecture is located. So we could type uname minus L. Dash help minus A. Sorry, uname minus A. And it will display all information. So basically here it's a Linux OS, the IP address, the EC2 internal, and then this system architecture, and then the time that the Linux was created or went online, and the version is x86 64-bit. Then we need to use become yourself run df-h command, output the df-h command to another file called system-disk-info. So to do that, we need to switch to sudo our user Hisham, and then we need to use df-h, which displays the how many which displays the file system that is currently that we have, and whether it is mounted or not. Now the first one is mounted on -dev, second one is mounted, the third one is mounted in -1, and so on. now we need to split this output to another file. So in order to do that, we could use the redirect command to system disk info, and then we need to use the vi system disk info. Sorry. And here it says here that we move the first and second line and save it. So in order to move, we click I to insert, and then we will delete the first and second line. And then we will click escape and then WQ as write and quit to save the file. Then we will run dmesg command and output to dm-file. So basically we will run dm esg and redirect that file to dm-file. So dmsg display the information, the logs, system logs basically. So we use dm-file to edit the file, and here it says to move the last 5 to 10 files. So in order to do that, delete this. And then we save the file with WQ. Add text at the end of the file, VI, this is the end of the file, sorry. We need to edit it and add text at the end of the file. We could use the page down to quickly go down to the end of the file, and then we will type this is the end of the file. Then escape, WQ, and then reboot the system. In order to reboot, we use init, but it requires some, so we use the dash help to display what help. So 0, power off the machine. To reboot, we use the number 6. Now to start 1 level X, the target unit, we use either 2, 3, 4, and 5, and enter rescue mode. This we load daemon configuration and we execute init. So we need to reboot the system. So we will use init 6 to reboot the system. And here it says, please retry option after closing inhibitors and logging out. So basically we need to log out of users, or we could use systemctl reboot -I to ignore the inhibitors. What we will ensure that we log out of every user out, and then we will use init 6. And then it says permission denied because it needs sudo permission. Sorry, my bad. Sudo init 6. Then the putty shows an error because we have rebooted the system, so the putty SSH connection got disconnected. And that's how to solve tasks G. Thank you for listening.